Testing accessory motion at the wrist, we'll look at the radiocarpal and midcarpal joint. And the first accessory motion we can look at is long axis distraction, long axis traction and distraction. So basically what you're doing is you're stabilizing. We'll look at the radiocarpal joint first. So you're stabilizing at the distal radius and ulna with one hand, and then your other hand will be on the proximal row of carpals, and then you'll just do a distraction or a traction straight out. And then you can also perform that. You can move your stabilizing hand to the proximal row of the carpals, and then your distal hand or mobilizing hand to the distal row of carpals, and look at the midcarpal joint. Next accessory motion we want to look at is looking at dorsal and volar glides. So with dorsal and volar glides, again, we'll just look at right now the radiocarpal joint. You could do it at the radiocarpal and the midcarpal joint. So we'll look at the radiocarpal. So you want to stabilize at the distal radius and ulna, and then when you're doing the volar glide, you will push towards the palm. Alright, so you put a little bit of distraction or traction, and then you could do a volar glide towards the palm, and test in that direction, and then you can do the dorsal glide towards the back of the hand in the opposite direction. Testing intermetacarpal accessory motion. Often when people's hands or wrists are immobilized, they develop a lot of tightness in the intermetacarpal or between the metacarpal joints. So you can look at, again, dorsal and volar glides. So you'd want to stabilize at the metacarpal next to the one that you're moving, and you can move dorsally and test the accessory motion. And volarly, motion should be more towards the small finger side and become less towards the index finger side. We'll look at accessory motion of the radiocarpal joint. We can also do the midcarpal joint for radial and ulnar glides, but just for demonstration, we'll look at the radiocarpal joint. So between the radius and ulna and the proximal row of carpals, we assess the ability of the movement radially and then ulnarly. So again, we get close and kind of surround the radius and ulna, and then our hand gets on the proximal row of carpals. We're very close, and then we can go radially towards the radius or the thumb side and look at accessory motion, and then we can move ulnarly and assess accessory motion.